We are from Accurat, which is a design studio based in Milan. So yeah, Federico can introduce himself.
So hi everyone, as Alessandra said, I always had many ideas, maybe a bit confused, so I tried different things like architecture, then ICT, and since I was like doing a lot of computational design and then like programming synthesizer, these kind of things, one day I googled how to center a div, and that's I still try to solve this problem. But maybe all these experiences made me work at Accurat.
Similarly, I also tried some different things. I studied engineering physics at Politecnico in Milan while I was working as a filmmaker and photographer. And that resulted in me working at Accurat, where I can mix my, let's say, analytical skills to my passion for visual languages. So, for those who don't know, Accurat is a design studio that focuses on data visualization, which is the practice of visualizing data. So, taking data sets, so ensemble of numbers, and trying to communicate through them to people. If you actually search for the word on Google, something like this pops out, which at the end, if you just scream through these images, is just normal ways of representing data, like charts, pie charts, line charts, with prettier palettes and a more cartoonish look. But that's it. Do we do this at Accurat? Quite not, I would say. We specialize in trying to do something different with data visualization. So the main difference with what you see on Google, I would say, well, the first one is that we try to pursue some kind of beauty, of elegance, of design consistency, while at the same time exploring the language itself. So always trying to still be able to communicate actual information through data, but giving it a prettier look. I think this is well embodied in this statement. So where others see complexity, we see beauty and value. So these two things. We try to communicate data beautifully, but never underestimating the value that is behind those numbers. So what the numbers represent. Now, okay, this is very philosophical and abstract. So what do we actually do? We deliver diverse contents. Some of them are like printed reports. Some of them are more art pieces, installations, but most of the stuff is digital. So that's why we got invited here at the Intersection Conference. We do long scroll reports. So when you have a real story to tell through data, we can embody it in a long scroll that you can navigate. We do data explorers, which are ways to neatly see the numbers in big data sets, do comparisons, and so. And lastly, we also do some dashboards, so tools for professionals that have to do with data that helps them understand and visualize immediately what's going on. Okay, so a client comes in and the project starts. So what are the challenges that we have to address each day to deliver such kind of products? Okay, so the first one is that these products are complex yet beautiful. So we have to really work together to make those things happen in the first place. And of course, as I guess everyone here, or most of you, clients need solutions fast, and they have really, really tight timelines, so you have to fit with them. So the other challenge is to do those beautiful things quickly and in a solid way. I will talk about the first of the two problems. So how do we make it beautiful? Everything starts from how works is delivered in our design firm. So as usual, there are two departments, two teams, designers and developers. They have different roles, as in many different companies. But what we try is we try to build a kind of bridge between the two. We're not mixing up designers still have their skills and their skill set, and they do their stuff, as well as developers. But we think that it is very important to bridge the gap between the two worlds. We like to think that designers can influence the development choices as well as developers influencing the design choices. It's something that comes around, and I think that what this talk will also be about, it is how this is done practically in our studio. The way that I would encapsulate it is to say that each side has to develop some sort of literacy, so to understand something of the other side. So yes, designers have some sort of data of development literacy, while developer has some sort of design literacy. The wording development literacy I don't quite like as much, because many designers know what a div is, many designers know CSS, they know Flex, they know a lot of stuff. So I replace it with data literacy. Because with literacy, I'm talking about stepping out of one's comfort zone. And what designers usually don't do is deal with data sets, deal with databases, deal with spreadsheet numbers, and so on. And what our designers try to do is do exactly that. So step out of their comfort zone and try to work with data. While for our developers is just working with some beautiful stuff. So, what in practice that data literacy means? The thing that really encapsulates it is that our designers, when working on projects, they should not be afraid of data. At the end, it's them who extract value of those data. Okay, maybe the client already knows what's important, what's not, but the final design, the final representation, the final model that is used, visual model, really reflects a choice made by the designer. So if the designer doesn't understand what he's looking at, of course it's not going to be important, it's not going to help anyone. So a designer in our projects have to really be able to dig in the data on a practical side. So looking through data, searching, cleaning data like data scientists do intermediate representations, and so on. The mantra really is to not be afraid of data, and I think that our designers do it really well. What about me and Federico? What is it that we try to encapsulate on a design-like manner? One thing is the part of evaluating feasibility, so doing prototypes and MVPs. It is a rather common practice to do MVPs and tests and starting the procedure really on. But the one thing that is really important for our practice is to understand the design needs before jumping into it. So different prototypes come from different questions. For example, in this case, we were doing a data explorer, so we were using visualizations to navigate a data set. What was important was not the looks, was not how it was aligned. The important thing that we wanted to test for the designers was the interactions. So that looked ugly, but it wasn't a problem. We wanted to know, okay, are radio buttons okay, or should we do checkboxes, and so on. At the end, it came out beautiful, so it was not a problem to have it ugly in the beginning. And in another case of MVP that we developed, our designers wanted to represent regional data, so each country had a number attached to it, instead of with colors, with some sort of density estimation like it's seen on meteorological apps. And we had to test if it was feasible before actually shipping the product. But that meant to address the problem in a design-centered way. So what was important was not maybe the performances, but to see practically with the designers, does it really communicate well enough what you're trying to communicate? Does it really tell the numbers as they are, or is it maybe biasing towards some other view? In fact, in the beginning, it was quite biased, but with some tweaks, we worked together, and then, again, it came out beautiful. The other thing that we developers do is that we try to solve some problems autonomously from designers to accelerate stuff and to not have some back and forth that is sometimes tedious. And to help us, we have some own libraries that I invite you to check out on GitHub. For example, for taking out the boring and tedious part of our work that we know by heart, and just being able to tweak those design parameters and be able to express through the designs as developers. For example, we have one that helps us with animated datasets. We have one that helps us with centering SVGs, after that Del Gaudio knows how to center divs. And we have one that has a new way of encoding data. All of this is important to take out the tedious and repetitive stuff and to let us developers work on more design-like aspects like animations, hover effects, and all of that stuff. So that concludes my part. So how to make it beautiful? I think that the key thing here, the key message is that we have a big interplay and cooperation, but also trust between the two sections of our teams.
Okay, so we concentrated on how to make it beautiful, but we are still a consultancy firm. So I think that a lot of you knows deadlines, because we need to deliver the projects. And of course, we have long-term projects, but we have many very short projects, because our clients usually are big firms that they want like a boutique project to showcase maybe some data for an exhibition or installation. So they are very, very short projects, like 1 or 2 months. And usually another critical aspect of our work is that design and data are set on the go. So it's usual that we start developing before having the design finalized, or the data sets are not present maybe at all. So we need to learn how to deal with this. And it's a really big matter of trust between developers, designers, and clients in order to achieve this goal. So our usual workflow is made of different parts. So the first one is the preliminary visualization generation with raw graphs or RStudio. Then we are exploring more and more the ability to use these tools that we have nowadays, which are low-code, API-based spreadsheet databases in the cloud. I don't know, like these kind of things as Google Sheets or Airtable or Supabase. And then we use a lot static frameworks and CDN. So we, of course, for charts, this visualization, we usually use d3.js, but we use it with Svelte, SvelteKit, Next.js, React.js. And so we try to use them as we use the more static part of them in order to deliver very fast websites or web apps and so on. So the first part, the preliminary visualization generation, how does it work? Usually our designers use raw graphs, which is this tool, or RStudio, in order to explore, to investigate the data sets and have a sort of preliminary visualization. So being very operative, we create some SVGs that then we can tweak and we can develop in order to create our real personal visual language. So because we are not doing normal charts, but we are doing some visualizations from this starting point. And another aspect is the use of these no-code or low-code spreadsheet databases. For example, we can see Airtable or Supabase. That it's something that we are using more and more because of the ability of being very, very fast with them. Because with them, we have a sort of instant database. We have an user interface. So we can use it or use them like a sort of a sketching tool in order to have data that we can tweak from the beginning. So this can be done from designers, from clients, from developers. So it's a tool that everyone can use. And these tools have APIs. So they are ready to communicate to other tools. So for example, a designer with these kind of tools, for example, with Google Sheets, mixed with Figma, can have these kind of results. So our designers design with actual data from the beginning, and so these help in many ways, like for example, finding outliers or edge cases just from the beginning. And since the content is managed with these kind of tools, we are seeing that we can somehow are transitioning from a traditional CMS to a headless CMS, and nowadays with this sort of hybrid tool as this spreadsheet database. And from the last part of our workflow, so the actual front-end development, we can say, we have this workflow. So the content, but the content then is fetched like server-side with some Node script, usually. So like our websites, our web apps are not fetching directly the database or the spreadsheet, but are fetching static data that we fetch from the spreadsheet. This way we avoid lock-ins because, of course, these are all external tools. But if something is not working anymore, we are like completely independent from that kind of tools in production. And so with a static site generator like I don't know, Next.js or SvelteKit, we have very, very fast web apps or website that we have on a CDN. So at the end, to the end user, what they have is like static pages that are very, very fast. So why are we like tweaking with this approach? Because we don't need to mock anymore. We start with actual data from the beginning. So and data is mocking is time consuming because you need to think, to tweak. So we avoid this time. Developers and designers, but I can say clients too, are using the same source of truth. It's a time-saving process, and it's easy because we almost don't have any server to manage, and so we can be fast. And one other aspect is that we don't have APIs to build, because we don't spend time on building CRUD or all this stuff, because are already prepared for us in order to integrate them. So how to make it fast? Spreadsheets can be our common tongue, understandable by clients, developers, and designers. So our conclusion are that maybe if you are, I don't know, having problems on communication between designers and developers, find a common ground and build upon it. We found a spreadsheet can be our common ground because of our kind of projects. Hack your tools, Airtable, or personally I'm doing some music with Airtable too, or using GitHub issues as a CMS, but it's not intended to be like this, but they have APIs, so they can communicate with other tools, so try to hack them. And complex outputs don't need a complicated workflow. We have complex data sets, we have complex outputs to create, but we need to simplify somehow our process in a way, like for example, from a very complex data set to some CSV, and then to the complex outcome that we need to deliver. Okay, so thank you.
I have a very technical question. I've seen that you used a sheet to feed Figma with data. This is something that you develop yourself? You use something like Amplify?
No, it's like our designers use some plugins that are available to everyone. But if we have some like problem that is not already solved by some plugins or etc., we usually work together on working a little script or something in order to achieve this. This problem. Something like design operations. I don't know, this kind of.
The actual
the name
we have seen. No, it's not. I can Google it.
Yeah.
No. The question is, what you have in Figma is something. Is the source of truth to realizing the component, the UI after, is something that you export as is. The part that developer, the components that the developer build, then they are imported in Figma. Where is the bridge there? How you communicate? How you make your UI consistent? Yeah.
I think it depends on the project. Most of the times it's just design. So that is to design in a way that, as it was said, minimizes edge cases and all of that stuff that usually pops out only when you have finished with developing. It happens sometimes, I'm not going to hide it, that if a project is super fast and we are running out of time everywhere, it can happen that the SVG is for free on Figma, the data is correct because it's fetched. So if it takes 1 day to just take that SVG and put it, and it would take 1 week to develop it, it can happen that we take just this SVG. Of course, if you have some data that maybe is updated every week, or every day, or every hour, this is not feasible. So it really depends on the project, and yeah, that's it.